Today, we're going to be talking about holiday contact list prep and cleanup. Might sound bizarre that we're having this conversation in September. We did this, a similar conversation last November, and we heard feedback that it was too late in the year. So we decided to head this up earlier in the year and start this conversation with you guys. And also, pumpkin spice is now coming back out, peppermint, things like that. So everybody else is doing the let's get in the holiday mood. We might as well with our contacts as well. I'm Courtney Kearney, founder and owner of C. Kearney Consulting. We are a CRM and data management firm. Happy to help you with any of your CRM needs. We have a ton of free resources out on our website. Feel free to head on over to our events page. I will drop that into the chat window. I am sure that's how you registered for this event, but I wanted to let you know of other upcoming events as well. We're going to be doing a deep dive into contact cleanup and management within Uninet CRM by Cosential. So if that is your CRM platform, feel free to register for that event at the end of the month. That event will be September 28th or webinar. And then our October webinar, because of the holidays, we are only going to be doing one webinar in October, and it will be October 19th, a free webinar. Oh, I should have deleted the second Tuesday. It is not the second Tuesday in October. And we're going to talk about training, specifically around CRM, training best practices. October, I am doing some traveling and we've got some other things going on. So we're going to step away from that second Tuesday, but it's going to be October 19th and that will post later today. All right, I'm going to kick off our first poll asking if you regularly clean and review your contact data. Yes, you review it monthly, quarterly, no, but we should. We're at 77% participation. I'll give it about 5 more seconds. All right, perfect. Thank you so much. All right, so it looks like 86%, let's see if I can share these results. 86% are no, but we should. And 14% is yes, we review them monthly. So looks like you're in the right place to be able to have this conversation. And we're going to dive into talking first about data hygiene. Understanding that hygiene is a practice, not a project. So similar to all of what we've heard for the last almost 2 years of washing our hands, the importance of that, the importance of brushing your teeth, those things are not a one and done. You have to do them ongoing on a regular basis in order to maintain your health and your hygiene. The same is true for your data. So making that a habit and a practice rather than looking at it as a one time of the year experience or dreaded activity, but really tackling it on a regular basis allows that hygiene to stay in place and things don't build up and become such a headache. So what do I mean by data hygiene exactly? Making sure that your data is accurate, uniform, consistent, and complete is really what we're after. Making sure that it's clean in a usable way so that you can get those business insights and allow your leaders to make those data-driven decisions. Specifically, talking about contacts, what information is missing? So do you have contacts without email addresses? That's going to be a huge problem if you were doing any sort of regular email campaigns. We at C. Kearney Consulting send out a monthly email and we want to make sure that everybody's hearing from us. So we regularly audit our contacts to make sure that every person in our CRM has an email address populated, because that email gets automatically pushed over to MailChimp, which we use for our email campaigns. Does every contact have an owner? This is a big one, and you've heard me say it before. If you've heard me present, You should never have orphans in your CRM. Those are contacts without an internal person at your firm owning them or connected to that contact. This is important for many reasons, one of which is the data hygiene. So one person should never be expected to keep up with and maintain every contact in a CRM. That's just not realistic, nor is it best practice. Instead, the people who have those relationships should be expected to be responsible for those. Now, they might not be doing the editing themselves, but at least reviewing those contacts. They have the relationships. They know if those people are still at that firm, if they've moved, if they've updated an email, and if their company has changed. Any of that kind of information is that person's responsibility to get back into the system and make sure their contacts stay up to date. So looking at who are the orphans that are running around your CRM and how can we get them assigned to someone? At the end of the day, if no one knows why John Smith is in the CRM, then make him inactive. If he needs to come back, he'll come back, but don't just have contact data for data's sake. That's not helping anyone. So making sure that all of those contacts have an owner. The other reason to do this is as a business asset, you want to protect your client relationships. Those are your money makers. That's how you stay in business. So if you have a business developer and they leave, you want to know who those contacts are so that your firm can reach out to them and say, hey, our business developer has left. We want you to know that we value your relationship, and now your relationship is with this person or these people or whatever the transition is. You just don't want them to not know, or God forbid they email that business developer and they get a bounce back. There goes that relationship out the door. So you want to be able to run reports and say, here are all of your contacts. Whoever is leaving, that list can go to their manager. These people have left. Who should they get reassigned to so that you can protect your business asset of those clients? The contacts without an address. This is where we're going to spend a big chunk of our discussion today. Excuse me, because we're talking about holiday mailers, whether that's a physical gift, a card. You want to know now if you have that information missing rather than right before that card or that gift tries to go out the door. Now, you've got one or two ways to look at this. Does every company record have an address? Does every contact have an address? Sometimes those can be connected. Now, in the day and age of COVID that we're living in, and so many people are working from home, we do have clients that are sending out surveys as far as where would you like to receive your holiday gift? Where would you like to receive your holiday card? If they provide you a home address, are you prepared to take that information into your CRM, whether that's in a personal information section, a home address? What is that going to look like this year for you? It looks like we do have a comment. How do we default the initial address as the mailing address instead of the physical address? That would be specific to your CRM system. So looking at if it's tied directly to the company address, all of those settings would be specific to your CRM, and I can get that answered for you because I do know what CRM you're on. Looking at your missing information and data hygiene outside of just the conversation of your contacts, you can look at things like, does every company have a company type? Does every contact have a contact type? These are important if you want to do specific mailers like, hey, our holiday cards are going to be designed for each market. So our holiday card will be higher education themed for our higher education clients. Well, the only way to do that is if you have your contacts or your companies tagged so that you can pull a list of who your higher education clients are or contacts. Same thing with opportunities. Looking for those missing dates, dollars, staff team, any of that on a regular basis all plays into that data hygiene. Your personnel records. Does everybody have a start date? Does everybody have a license number? Whatever is applicable to your information. Same thing with projects. You never want to find out on the 11th hour of a proposal that your dates or dollars or a scope are missing from your projects as you try to run that information or gather it. So looking at that on a regular basis is really important. This list could go on and on and on. Today, we're talking more or focused on contacts, but I did want to plant those seeds in the other areas for our data. This leads us to our next poll. Do you pass around a contact list in preparation for holiday cards or gifts? Yes, we pass around a list and it makes me want to cry. We did this pre-COVID, but we're not doing it now. No, we do everything electronic and via email. No, we do not send around a list. We simply go with what's in our CRM. No, we do not do anything for the holidays. All right, perfect. We are at 100% participation. Thank you so much. I'm going to end this. And it looks like we do have a Q&A. What is the best way to find out what data is missing and get it filled out efficiently? That's a great question. So I'm going to end this poll and let's look at the results and then I'll answer that question. It looks like, unfortunately, 75% of us want to cry. 13% no, we do everything electronically via email, and 13% no, we do not do anything for the holidays. Thank you for that information. All right, so the question about what is the best way to find out what data is missing. I'm going to go back to the slide so that we can talk about that question real quick. Audit reports, maintenance reports, whatever word you're comfortable with, essentially you're looking for the same thing. You're looking in a CRM, in your Excel, in Outlook, wherever you have your contact information, you're looking for the empty data or the unpopulated data. So running a report on show me all of my contacts without an email address. Then you would focus on those. Another reason that it's helpful to do this on a regular basis is because if I wait and do it once a year, I could have hundreds of contacts without an email address, and then who knows how long it's been since they've heard from us. If you do this on a regular basis, there could be one or two a month that slip through without an email address. So really running those exception reports, looking for what is missing, that's how you're going to find those. How to get it filled out efficiently. Looking at how do I get this information from the people who have it? That would be your process to figure out how to do the most efficiently. I can't answer that specific piece for you because I don't know your internal processes, but looking at when I was the CRM manager at an engineering firm, I would run it every Friday, and whoever created the contact, I would just email them and say, hey, you forgot the email address. I need that. So they would go in and fill it in, or they would just respond and give me the email address, and then I would go fill it in. Other processes were for project data that was missing. I had to have the project manager enter it, or the project office manager enter it into the accounting software so that it would come to me, or else our systems would overwrite it. So it depends on what information you're looking for and how to best get it. But starting with those exception or audit reports, looking at what is missing, filtering it if you're in Excel, pulling it out of Outlook, filtering it that way if that is what you're working with. Let me know if that didn't answer your question. All right, so for the 75% of us that pass around a list and want to cry, we're going to look through a sample list of how to make this process a little bit better and easier for you. What you see on my screen now is the sample list that we're going to talk through. I'm going to open it up. We're going to go through Excel Live, and I'm going to talk through the specific tips and things to look for. So before I jump into the Excel spreadsheet specifically, you always want to provide whoever is getting this Excel instruction. So I always have an instruction tab as my very first tab on any of the spreadsheets that I'm going to send out to other people. I never want to assume that people know A, what I want them to do with that information, or B, how to. So really making it as specific as you can on those instructions. So you can see on my screen the instructions for preparing or prepping your contacts for the holiday mailer. use the drop-down menu in column A. Here are the options. So explaining and defining what those are. Never assume that people know what approved means. Am I just approving that this person exists in the universe? No, I'm approving that all this information is up to date. Update needed. Information is incorrect. Remove. They should not receive an holiday mailer. Delete means they should not be in the database at all. They just need to be deleted out. So you never want to just say these are the 4 statuses and leave it at that. You want to define so everybody's on the same page. Now, step 2, if update needed is selected, the second step is to then go below it, right click, add a new column or a new row, and then insert the corrected information, but you also need to select your name. Again, we're going to go through this and what that looks like. Enter the correct information. This leaves you breadcrumbs as to who has changed what, who to go back to, and if there's discrepancies, because the minute you send out this list, you now have many different iterations. Unless you're using something like a Teams site or a server document, just know that if you have multiple people in at the exact same time, you've got to account for that as well. So instructions like, if something has changed and it's wrong, please do this. These instructions are meant for it is going out, and then you're getting a lot of spreadsheets back. So just think through your process as to where this document's going to live, how you're going to send it out, what you want people to do with it. I always suggest having drop downs. The least amount of typing, the better, so that you don't have things like approve or approved, approval. You don't want to give people any of that room for human error and misspellings or adding values that you don't really care about. So creating that value list, you can use that through the Excel data validation tool. You go into data validation, click list as your validation criteria, and then you have to have it set up where the list is always there. I always suggest having select be your very first value so that your cell is never empty. You just always have select selected. And you'll see that when I get into the document live. The next tip is if you are pulling this from a CRM system, having a hyperlink back to that CRM really is helpful for people if they're like, man, I recognize this name. I need to see more of the details, the activity logs that I've created. You can click their name and then get to their record. Now, in the event that this Excel somehow makes it to outside of your company, no big deal. They still have to log into your CRM system. So no information is insecure in that way, other than what you've already included in the spreadsheet, of course. But that is helpful for certain users that can get to those records or empower them to make the changes straight to the CRM as well. Freeze frame and protect your actions. So always, if there are fields that you do not want them to edit so that you don't lose your breadcrumbs of maybe an ID or something like that, if you're going to re-implement this or import this information, you want to lock or secure those cells so that they can't overwrite it. So you always know who was there originally. And then you can allow things like, yes, allow them to insert rows. That's part of the instructions that we've given them. All right, so now we're going to look at the live spreadsheet. Can you see my Excel spreadsheet? Drop it into chat or the Q&A so I can make sure that we are still good to go on my screen sharing. Yes, perfect. All right, so what you'll see is I have hidden my values tab. So if I show unhide, my values tab here is where I set my drop downs, those drop down menus. I don't want people to change those, so I always hide my values tab or my value list tab or whatever it is that you want to, how you want to word that. Again, whenever I save this, I have the instructions tab, the very first thing that people click on. so they can read the instructions and know what to do. Then we're going to go into our contact list. So like we've said before on the instructions, I want you to go through here and say, this person needs updated information. They need to be removed, deleted. And as you can see, all the rest that haven't been addressed have that select. I'm not leaving a blank field here. I have my selection so that people know, hey, you need to select something in this value list. Once I know that something needs to be updated, that's when I right click, insert the row, and then I say, here's the correct information. Step B is who is updating this? Who is giving me this information? I'm Courtney. It could be Rebecca on our team, Heather, Courtney Vance. After you make that selection, then you go through and you make your corrections. So Marissa's name is misspelled here. It should just be one S. Everything else on this row stayed the same. Ooh. Everything else on this row stayed the same. So all I need was that new information of her first name being incorrectly spelled. You can see that there's an update needed here. I've inserted the row. The phone number got transposed. So here, that's all that's needed. This one, it's twofold. I've corrected the information because there is a comma missing. It should be Associates, comma, Inc. And then the phone or the email address is wrong. It's missing the K period Jensen. Down here, the address has been updated. So I'm updating the address. They clearly moved locations. So that is the new information. You can leave a notes column at the end. So you can say, you know, the phone number was wrong, the email was wrong, they've moved to a new office, first name misspelled. If that needs to be included, if it's not obvious, you can decide to have notes, not have notes. That's up to you. Now, if you want to focus someone's attention and you do have a contact owner for every contact, then you can pull that out of your CRM or Outlook or wherever you're having that, and then filter it for just whoever is getting this report, or include that in the instructions. Hey, I want you to search here and just put your name. Or you can put it on a separate contact list, and then they have a focused attention on just what is their contacts. Completely up to you. If you are pulling something out of, say, a CRM system, and the way that it comes out is it could be I own this contact, or 3 of us own this contact, or 2 of us, I would leave it all in the same column. So if it turns out to be something like this, I would leave it all in this column, and I would include in the instructions to just use the search filter or the search function in the filter, and then type your name. So that way you're not breaking it out into many different columns. The issue with that is that I could just search column N and then be done and not realize that I also have my name in column O, P, Q, what have you. So if you just use that search function within your filters, then you can get to just whoever you own as well. We're going to go ahead and clear that filter so that we can see everyone. Now, as you go through, I now have looked at everything and I can just say, yep, this is approved. We're good to go. Oh, this person, they just need to be deleted. This person needs to be removed. This person's approved. So as you go through, you can then, when you get these back, know, yep, everybody's looked at this, or, oh, they got distracted. These are the people that they didn't finish. I'm going to send it back to them real quick and say, hey, it looks like row 15 through 20 you missed. Can you finish updating those as well? Can we get this as a starting point? Absolutely. So we will have a recap on our website where we recap all of our free webinars, and you can also rewatch the recording at any time. So this document, along with the PowerPoint, will be uploaded for your use. Know that these are hyperlinked to get to our CRM. This is information from our account. These hyperlinks will not work for you, but I do want to show you what that looks like. So if I click here and I'm like, man, I don't remember this person, where did they come from? It has loaded in our Uninet CRM by Cosential, and I can get to that information, look at activities, any opportunities I might have open, just to give some other explanation or history around that person so that I know, yes, they're accurate, or yep, we misspelled the name. I'm going to check chat real quick. Adding the hyperlink, good question. So this can happen several ways. One of which is when you export it from your CRM, you can just copy from your reports page instead of exporting it to a flat Excel. So if I am in our account and I go to run reports, once the report runs, I can just copy this information and paste it straight into an Excel document, and then fix the formatting, things like that. And my URLs will stay in all of my hyperlinks. So then I can click Dave's name and get straight to his record. Good question. Any questions on the list or how to create those instructions, the idea behind passing this around? If you have enough lead time, you could do it one at a time instead of giving it to 20 people at once. You could give it to one person, get those edits back, update it, give it to the next person. It just depends on how much time and lead time that you have and how many contacts you've got as well. All right, we're going to head back to PowerPoint real quick with our last couple seconds here. So I'm going to launch the last poll. The first question, was this helpful? Yes, no. And would you or will you now pass around a master contact list to help clean up your contacts? 85% participation. Y'all have been rocking the polls. Thank you so much. All right, so yes, it was helpful. 100% said yes, and 100% said yes, they will pass around the contact list. That is fantastic. And oh, that's awesome, Denise, you're so great. Thank you. I feel revitalized. That's awesome, because 75% of us wanted to cry at the beginning of this call, so that is good. And like I said, we're going to have the recap out there on our website shortly so that you can get to this Excel spreadsheet. If you are trying to do this tomorrow and don't want to wait, feel free to email me or anybody else on my team so that we can get you that, because I want to make sure that you've got that in your hands. You guys have a good rest of your Tuesday and a rest of a fantastic week. Thank you so much for logging in today, and let us know if we can help you in any way.